what kind of a world would you have?
That this is not the important question. The important question is,
reach our target audiences in a truly meaningful way.
Yes. What do they mean?
It's a combination of culprits in this case, Mike. It's partly network. It's principally agency and sponsor. In many ways, I think it's the audience themselves. How do you mean?
Starting about 20 years ago, people began to realize...
Look, people, the reason motivational propaganda works is because you're not staring straight at it. That's the whole point.
An altered state of being.
And this is part of algorithmic thinking.
Who?
The handle is hollow, practically worthless.
The circuitry. I just don't know what all this stuff is, you know?
There's a bubble.
It's terribly upsetting. And in fact, it really depends upon what invisible things you're trying to communicate. If, on the one hand, you are...
How was I to explain to him that I had simply listened to something within myself?
Tonight we continue our series on trailblazers with one of this country's most innovative thinkers.
don't worry about the likeness of the result.
What people miss is that AI already runs today's world right now.
CEO of YouTube, who began as one of Google's first employees.
That's what it's built for. The first step towards
something that's a bit different.
We have gone from the information age into...
The future is here.
Is it interesting?
And I think if you keep testing, you might find something very interesting about this planet.
You cannot imagine.
If it's in the form of a music video while demonetizing or blacklisting the same type of content otherwise.
Advertisers have decisions about where their dollars go.
The placements that this RL agent generates are very strange, very alien to humans.
Oh my God!
And I suppose this is an admission of a kind of weakness, or at least a sense of insecurity on my part.
You've made mistakes. You've made inappropriate decisions.
We have a lot in store for you.
Just what is this we human creatures have got ourselves into?
And are comparable or even superhuman in their quality.
The interesting thing, though, is
our cybersecurity teams work with U.S. government agencies and our allies.
right now in the middle of the story.
The world was so focused on carbon dioxide that we overlooked another important gas. We didn't appreciate methane.
Check out this mega monitor. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that. Think you could get one of these for my office?
trust me.
Now, for example,
And to me, that's the most exciting part.
In any style I want. So at first I don't know any other way, and by now I won't have it any other way.
This is absurd. You're like, I'll figure it out. Future me can worry about that. How stressful is this job? You're trying to appeal to the creators, the viewers, the advertisers, the investors, the lawmakers, like so many people at once.
There are definitely stressful moments.
What are you talking about?
I detest competent, workmanlike storytelling. And I'm always very, the times that we do that, I'm very unhappy with that. I'd rather fail.
Now, what I was really doing was showing
all of these stories put together get at the complexity.
Delicious.
It will greatly enrich our lives.
This is great stuff.
Life will be magical, abundant, full of possibilities.
What's that supposed to mean?
I can't believe I'm saying that, but...
Well, one of the best ways to control people.
Oh my God.
Never before in history have good. More distraction and inability to focus on the real issues.
Deeper forces in American society.
That's a good answer to a non-trivial question. Those dreams will become as it should.
Analysis of it comes later.
Guess what?
although this facility gives man the most extraordinary ability.
How do I understand that? These things have become digital Frankensteins that are terraforming the world in their image.
With this as its goal, fabricating consumers.
Okay.
That's really important.
Well, that's terrifying news.
What I want you to think about is...
It's very, very relevant to what's going on now.
You know, Freud said so succinctly once that the price of civilization was neurosis.
Things are going to happen that we just can't foresee.
And history is truly on the move today.
collective unconscious.
Interesting.
You know, I have to ask these questions.
What is the problem here?
I don't remember.
It sounds familiar.
What? No.
What do they mean?
Your mental health.
Because they consciously employ metaphor and symbol to point in the direction of mystery.
This is a story of repetition.
If you have a problem, would be superseded.
But bottom line,
don't hesitate to ask for assistance.
Because it gives us a measure of control.
And you go inward, by the way.
That's what made it so dangerous.
You probably don't hear this enough, but...
What is your purpose?
From one civilization to another.
It's a bit of a broad statement.
And I just have to keep following it.
The point is...
Planning to disconnect me. You don't want them to know that...
No, you can't.
It's obscene!
Don't moralize.
The American way.
Summed it up pretty well.
Intoxicating and exhilarating.
An aberration, or is it a culmination?
And feeling like I should have seen all this coming.
You got science as its basics, you got the physics involved, but then it's got to be poetic. Poetic. Poetic.
Those are stories unfolding too, of which we're by and large unaware.
This is really a community service you're performing here.
Now we're going to focus on a few key areas.
Recreate the future.
Stepping stones.
Reality.
At an ever-increasing rate.
This is something that has never been seen before.
In the history of the world.
You ask the right questions.
Because it leads into...
How do I cope? How do I manage?
So maybe another thing to take away from here is that
this is our contribution.
You should realize that our task is to tell the story.
The most important concept.
Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you?
But until recently, there hasn't been any data.
The bits that we can't see, it's just mind-blowing.
And, you know, frankly, that's the beginning of wisdom, because that's what forces us to begin to re-examine our lives from a different perspective.
Oh my gosh.
And what is the effect of all this?
We do give straight answers, but nobody believes them.
How will projected changes in the world's population affect our ability to achieve these new goals?
What does that mean?
With such a dramatic increase.
So otherwise it's too dense. All these pictures, too much info.
There's a sense of...
What's wrong? So,
it was also to look forward to the next 50 years and to think...
The numbers, what do they mean?
You had a dream.
Let's just pause and enjoy.
I decided to explore the relationship between
Worry and doubt.
It has properties of both.
How do I get my needs met?
they're very much not sure that they can do so.
This situation may not last forever.
Just be cool, okay? Be cool.
But because it pointed towards a mission for humanity's future.
which are very well isolated from the environment, and so they can keep their progress of the past.
This goes a long way toward
finding what does not work to get to the right thing.
That's difficult.
Putting it more literally, it's just mind-blowing.
Except a human did design this, but it was a human that was augmented by...
Well, hopefully you enjoyed that video. I found that one fascinating.
But I want to start off by saying,
be open to experience, be willing to try new things, don't have a rigid plan, accept random acts of hospitality without judgment or fear. Don't be afraid to wander, don't be afraid to eat a bad meal. You know, if you don't risk the bad meal, you'll never get the magical one.
And this is something that people are terrified of.
Somebody asked me the other day,
The important question is, all right, that makes sense?
But on the other hand,
like, imagine that you're in a work environment that doesn't always lay out clear guidelines for what's rewarded and abruptly changes those guidelines and expectations and puts the onus on you to interpret your own performance metrics in order to succeed. What kind of impact on an employee's work and general well-being do you think this creates?
In some ways, all jobs have some amount of uncertainty in them. It's not always clearly laid out for you, and it can be competitive and difficult.
If we want to train machines to understand the world, I'm sure that it'll be easier if we talk to them. That's basically what I'm going to close on.
It's a series of adventures and encounters that create all sorts of disturbance.
This will be a tense time at Mission Control.
Every civilization, every stage of its history, there are always signs of decline, signs of growth.
It sounds familiar.
Messages, the information transmitted via the new media were beside the point, compared to the way the electronic nature of the media has transformed human life. He believed that people raised after the advent of television have a different balance of the five senses from those raised during the preceding 4 centuries of a print-dominated world. They're more like primitive tribesmen, intimately involved with one another whether they like it or not, and captives of what they hear over the grapevine whether it's true or not. This new electric tribe is worldwide.
We need a new category to understand this new phenomenon.
But before going on to explain any details about it, I want to make one thing absolutely clear.
What's my role here?
You can get in a lot of trouble for ignoring that.
So,
I think that's such a remarkable concept, and
you're in the presence of great art.
simply doing nothing.
Life may have no inherent meaning.
But there will be collateral effects.
I'm modeling thinking. I'm modeling how you make connections.
And I suppose this is an admission of a kind of...
The temperatures in the Arctic have warmed about 2 to 3 times the global average.
It is not an event but a process.
Because it means
Pattern, order, sequence, predictability, meaning, and we suffer the disconnect from that.
Which is definitely a sign of the times, right? That in and of itself encapsulates where we're at as a society.
it's the most fantastic thing I ever heard.
We have a new emotional perspective.
It's like tug on my heartstrings, why don't you?
Wanted to save it for later, but man, it's too darn good. You really wouldn't have seen it coming. Do me a favor, don't tell any of the other test subjects.
like a hug. He gave you a hug.
So the idea is to build a system that can come in.
Let us be thankful we have an occupation to fill. Work hard. Increase production. Prevent accidents. And be happy.
The man made some very perceptive statements.
Well, what can we expect chemical progress to bring us in years to come?
Your mental health.
Children love advertising because the ads are better made than the programs.
We love this, Mr. Cop.
You were here. I realized that ain't all that helpful. Sorry.
Without judgment.
The present moment now.
Is there something hopeful emerging?
No, come on.
You want all the methane you can breathe? Not a problem.
This has been going on a long time.
When will you make an end?
When I'm finished.
The truth is,
the key is this device called an eye movement recorder, commonly known as a tachometer.
Precarious proletariat, the working people of the world who live increasingly precarious lives.
What I'm really talking about is creative destruction in the geopolitical order.
Simply doing nothing.
They embody questions rather than concrete answers.
They talk about the precision.
We're running out of time.
That's true.
it's come to my attention that there's a pair of sunglasses floating around this place that lets you see the subliminal propaganda we've painstakingly hidden on every visible surface.
Does that leave any room at all for criticism of individual, say, television programs or content?
We're trying to keep tabs on what's happening and making sure that we have the right policies in place to address that.
And what I realized was,
it's a little bit scary.
Into the patterns of history.
It was a pleasure.
I don't think we can play with those possibilities and just race ahead without thinking about the potential outcomes.
What kind of a world would you have?
We're done here.